Recently, I've gotten really into Studio Ghibli. It started in May when my girlfriend recommended that I should watch Howl's Moving Castle. I should just make a quick note that this isn't the first Ghibli film that I'd seen. I'd also seen Spirited Away and Totoro, but neither of them really caught my attention the way that Howl's Moving Castle did. Right away, it just blew me away and started me on this journey through Studio Ghibli and the works of Hayao Miyazaki, who has quickly become one of, if not my favorite directors of all time. And right when I saw it, it just completely caught my attention. And, now I'm like, they're like my fucking favorite movies. Like, it's a little crazy. I have like posters and stickers. I even have this little Totoro in my car. Got all types of stuff. But anyway, um, after like a couple weeks, I was looking through them, and one film in particular caught my attention, like immediately. That film being Grave of the Fireflies. Uh, and it's not by Miyazaki, because this video is not about Miyazaki at all. And after a few months, I finally sat down and watched it with my friends, and at first it just didn't live up to the hype. At least, that's what I thought, until I rewatched it, because in the time between rewatch, I just couldn't stop thinking about it. It just kind of like stayed in my head and left me with this lingering sense of dread. One question in particular just stayed in my mind. That question being, why do the fireflies have to die so soon? On rewatch, I found an answer and realized that this is both one of the most unique and one of the best Ghibli films. Grave of the Fireflies is Aso Takahata's 1988 masterpiece. It was an adaptation of Akiyo Nosaka's 1967 short story by the same name. The film is about a 15-year-old boy named Seita who is forced to look after his little sister Setsuko after his mother passes away. The film is set during World War II in Japan. If you've heard anything about this movie, it's probably that this movie is sad, and in my opinion, that is an understatement. Grave of the Fireflies is one of the most devastating films that I've ever witnessed. I mean, it just wears you down with the characters as you watch these poor children just try to survive through the war. Every time anything seems to be going up for them, it just completely takes it away, and things get worse than they were. And by the end, it just left me feeling, honestly, a little bit relieved when they died, because it meant that their suffering was over. This film takes a clear anti-war lens on this time period. Everything that has happened in this movie is a direct reaction to the war. The war is the cause of their mother's death, which causes them to have to go move in with their nasty aunt. Quick side note on that, the aunt is just one of the worst fucking people ever. I mean, she literally starts beefing with this 4-year-old, and like, it's kind of ridiculous. Anyway, their aunt becomes bitter from the war, and she kind of just ignores the fact that these kids just lost their mom and their home, and she basically is just a complete bitch to them, because all they do is take, is what she says, and they don't contribute to helping the war effort at all. And due to that, it leads Seita to choosing to take him and his sister away from her, and they just leave to live on their own. And due to that, they have trouble finding food, because it has all been rationed because of the war. And the lack of food leads him to a life of crime, from stealing from farmers and just anybody just to try to get by. And due to little food, Setsuko gets sick. And because of her sickness, she passes away. Then later on, Seita dies too. By the time you get to the end of the movie, you can kind of just trace everything back to the war. I think that there are two really interesting details that help make this anti-war lens very clear. That being the point of view it's told from, and the way other people in it interact with our main characters. The film is told from a very unique perspective. I feel like most war films are told from the perspective of the people like actually fighting the war. But I think that the anti-war message is really enhanced because of the perspective we see it from. We see its just detrimental impact on the country itself and its day-to-day impact on regular people just trying to live their lives. I think that this is a really interesting way of showing it, and it shows off its impact in a very different way. The only other film that I've seen like this is probably Taika Waititi's Jojo Rabbit, that is told from similar perspective. The world and its characters in this movie are both incredibly bleak. Every character is against Zeta. They hate his actions and they just judge him for trying to live his life. And he tries to ignore the war and shield himself and his sister from it. People do not like this. To me, this shows another just very negative impact that war has on people. It forces everybody to give up their lives and to have to serve their country in any way that they can. It also desensitizes everyone from the violence and loss that they're all experiencing. And it just ends up refusing to let people mourn. I just think that this is best showcased by the scene towards the end of the movie.
There you go. Charcoal for the cremation. Now, since it's a child, make sure you do it at a temple. The body should be lightly dressed and use beanstalks for a good fire. In spite of it all, lovely day.
This man is not even affected by the fact that this little girl just died and her kid brother is trying to have her cremated. He has probably been forced to deal with this type of stuff almost every day, and it's just become normal. When looking at it from this lens, it answers the question, why do fireflies have to die so soon? They have to die so soon because the world is in a shitty, destructive war that's causing more damage than it's solving any problems. If you read the title of the video, you might be a little bit confused right now. The title is not a lie. Isao Takahata said this is not an anti-war film. He actually made it with another message in mind. It is Seta's immaturity that results in both their deaths. He thinks that he can avoid his country and the war. He rejects society instead of listening to his aunt and falling in line with the rest of the country. He takes their suggestions as a challenge instead of suggestions, and he just happily puts both him and his sister's lives at risk. The more he thinks like this, the more dangerous it becomes. The sicker Setsuko becomes. He thinks he can live outside the system. When he can't, he turns to stealing from it. Unaware of the danger that she's in, Setsuko ends up idolizing her big brother, and he tries to be the best big brother he can be. However, he's unintentionally killing her and himself. Ultimately, he fails her. After idolizing him, she is let down by him. After her death, it's his immaturity and his stubbornness that lead to his own death. I think it's interesting how this affects the two details we talked about earlier. It changes perspective as it is told from the person causing the issue, and it changes the world from something the audience hates to something that the audience begs the main characters to accept. In my opinion, this lens is even more devastating. It's in no way blaming him. It's just making a statement on immaturity and the importance of not rejecting your country and your community. It makes the question even more heartbreaking. Why do the fireflies have to die so soon? They have to die because your brother refused to accept society, and he let his pride destroy himself and you. I love this movie, and it's one of my favorite Ghibli films that I've seen. It highlights one of my favorite things about art. You can interpret it in any way you want. It doesn't matter what the creator's goal was. What matters is just how it impacts you and what you take from it. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like and maybe subscribing. I really want to make more videos like this. I guess it's like kind of a video essay. I mean, it's not that deep, you know, it's not like that crazy, but I don't know, maybe someday we'll get to like a real deep dive on something. I don't know, I think that'd be really cool. Comment down below what your favorite Ghibli movie is. I'd say mine is probably Princess Mononoke. I mean, it's my background over there. I have the poster that I think you've seen earlier, and like a ton of stickers, and like I love fucking Breath of the Wild, and Breath of the Wild literally just completely steals from Princess Mononoke. I mean, it is like complete robbery. Like, it's crazy. It's really funny actually, but it just makes it even better for me. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope that you guys come back to see what I make next. See ya. I've never done a peace sign before. I don't know why I fucking threw up a peace sign. Bye.